Buckeyes football, 1410 WING, Dayton's ESPN Radio. The Justin Kinner Show, right here on 1410 ESPN Radio.
You know, it's days like today that honestly make me wonder why we sit there in the middle of June and July and say things like, man, I can't wait for football season to get here, because every Bengals fan I've talked to today is pissed off. Every Browns fan I've talked to today, they're pretty dang angry. Not me, though. I'm still sporting the Browns cap. I'm still good to go. I'm in a great mood. I'm in a great mood here on a Monday. Happy Monday, everybody. Hope everybody had a great weekend, all things considered. I mean, I get yesterday was kind of tough for Browns and Bengals fans, and that's what we're going to open up with here today. College Football Hall of Famer Keith Byars, he's going to pop in studio with us coming up here in hour number 2. But man, oh man, what the hell was that yesterday? I don't know why I'm in a good mood. I shouldn't be in a good mood because I'm going to go in on my team here in a little bit. I think I'm over Kevin Stefanski. I'm over Dylan Gabriel. I'm over it all. But I know one thing that you guys are over, and it's something I've been over for a long time, and that's the Cincinnati Bengals damn defense. I think that's one thing, like over the years, Bengals fans, you and I, we've had our problems. You know, the threats that have been made towards me on behalf of some of you. Some of it was provoked. I mean, the night that you guys lost the Super Bowl, I changed my profile picture to the Rams logo. Yeah, I kind of had it coming. Some of the things that were said to me that night, fresh off that Super Bowl loss. But hey, I had to feel good too, right? Like, I mean, I was selfish. It is what it is. But there's one thing that I think we can all agree on. And I think that's the only thing that we can all agree on, with me being a Bengals hater, as you guys say, and you guys being Bengals fans. It's that, hey, you know what? The Bengals defense, it's not good. Now, like, here's my problem with how a lot of you guys are approaching what happened over the weekend. 39-38 was the final. The Bengals at home had a chance to even your record back at 500, had a chance to, honestly, you know, you would have 4 wins and the Steelers would have 4 wins, and you'd be right there battling for the top of the division. The good thing is you still are. That's the good thing. The bad thing is what led to your loss yesterday. Those deficiencies will exist next week and the week after. Well, luckily you have a bye after that, but you see the point. 39-38, the final. Justin Fields completed 21 of his 32 pass attempts for 244 yards, threw a touchdown. Breece Hall rushed for 133 yards, scored 2 touchdowns. I mean, what in the heck happened yesterday? What happened yesterday is what I've been trying to tell you guys for years now, is that your defense is no good, and I don't know why it's taken this long for all of us to get on the same page, because everything that comes out of my mouth, you guys just chalk it up to hating, but the bottom line is your team's defense stinks. Your team defense is horrible. I mean, you guys realize like how bad you have to be defensively. Most teams that lose their starting quarterback don't have a backup quarterback come in and just things just continue on as is. The Bengals offense is not the problem. Joe Flacco has replaced Joe Burrow seamlessly. I mean, he threw for 200-plus yards yesterday. He threw for multiple touchdowns. He led many scoring drives. I mean, you got, again, more production. I mean, how about Samaje Perine yesterday? 9 carries, 94 yards in the touchdown. Jamar Chase, 91 yards on 12 catches. I mean, this offense is not the problem. I mean, 38 points was put up on the board. You realize how lucky you are to have Joe Flacco come in and you don't even miss Joe Burrow. There's nothing that Joe Burrow could have done differently yesterday than what Joe Flacco did. Let's just get that out of the way now. That's how lucky the Bengals are. But you know how bad and just inept you have to be from a front office standpoint to screw it up so bad that you're fortunate to lose Joe Burrow and still have a Joe Burrow-like production type of quarterback and still get the same results because you ignored every deficiency that this team had in the offseason and you blamed it on the one guy that had nothing to do with what the actual problem was, because you basically gave all the same ingredients to the new defensive coordinator and Al Golden, who was supposed to be better. But we found out that Al Golden with this group is significantly worse than Lou Anarumo with this group. You have, obviously, Logan Wilson, who wants out. You know, all the drama with Trey Hendrickson that happened in the offseason, who also wanted out, ultimately got paid, now can't stay out on the field. He's been predominantly healthy for recent seasons. And of course, once he gets his money, this is what the front office was worried about, that he wouldn't be reliable. And sure enough, he hasn't been very reliable because he hasn't been healthy. He leaves the game yesterday as well. I mean, this is, I don't even know what to say. I had no clue. Like everyone's like, I had multiple people reach out today and say, what's your thoughts on the Bengals? But I don't even know. I don't even know what to do or say in this particular situation because I feel like, and I told you so, probably now is not a good time for that. I feel like, and I told you so, probably would be a little bit of a low blow on my end. All right. So that's kind of where I'm at. But here's the problem, Bengals fans. Here's what you cannot do. Here's what you can't do. Stop blaming Zach Taylor. Stop. All together. Let's do this. Let's practice. Let's all say it 10 times together, okay? Stop blaming Zach Taylor. 1. Stop blaming Zach Taylor. Said it twice now. Stop blaming Zach Taylor 3 times. Stop blaming Zach Taylor. 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 That is the most moronic thing you could do is to blame Zach Taylor at this point. Zach Taylor's side of the ball is the offense. I get he's the head coach. It's all his side of the ball. But Zach Taylor doesn't get to make roster decisions. Zach Taylor doesn't get to make the decision of who's the defensive coordinator, who's not the defensive coordinator. Zach Taylor has no power in that particular situation. So whoever replaces Zach Taylor will also have the same amount of power as Zach Taylor. And nothing changes. Stop. You guys are so ridiculous with this. I'm so sick and tired of, fire Zach Taylor, fire Zach Taylor. Zach Taylor's an offensive-minded head coach. He was hired because of his offensive expertise. And guess what? Zach Taylor has found a way, even in the absence of Joe Burrow, and has done this in previous seasons, in the absence of Joe Burrow, the guy that you say that the Bible was written about. You guys, Zach Taylor, the offense keeps humming. Stop blaming Zach Taylor. Stop blaming Zach Taylor. Stop blaming Zach Taylor. Have I said it yet for you to truly freaking understand that this isn't a Zach Taylor problem? Do you think that any other head coach would take over this team with this defense and do anything different? You guys thought that getting rid of Lou Anarumo, you guys did this last year. You're very intelligent fan base. Get rid of Lou Anarumo. Lou Anarumo, I've seen enough. Get rid of Lou Anarumo. What has Lou Anarumo done since getting with the Colts? Lou Anarumo's scheme with good defensive players, the Colts are the best team in football right now. Imagine that. Maybe instead of fire Lou Anarumo, they should have just got good defensive players, and Lou Anarumo would be fine, and the Bengals would be fine. They'd be Super Bowl contenders. You'd be sitting atop the AFC North. You'd be sitting atop the AFC probably. What are we doing? With or without Joe Burrow? That's how fortunate you are. Is that you're not losing games right now because you lost Joe Burrow in week 2. You're losing games right now because your defense stinks. Jay Morrison put this up earlier today. Jay Morrison said that the Bengals have given up the 13th most points through week 8 of an NFL season. And that's with basically shutting out the Browns in week 1. This defense is horrendous, and it's not Zach Taylor. Stop blaming Zach Taylor. I'm going to say it quieter so maybe you understand it that way. Stop blaming Zach Taylor. It's the stupidest thing you guys could say. If you guys can literally watch that yesterday with a 40-year-old backup quarterback, that offense put up 30-plus points yesterday. They lost because they have no talent on defense, the same reasons they lost all of last year, and you guys still think that you understand football enough to say you got to get rid of Zach Taylor, man. What would getting rid of Zach Taylor do? Why don't you guys say what really needs to happen? They need better defensive players. It's that simple. You guys did this weird little song and dance last year, get rid of Lou Anarumo, and they did. And they brought in Al Golden, and I told you that was a mistake as well. I said Al Golden is not a good defensive coordinator for the Cincinnati Bengals. Any time that you wait as long as you did to make the announcement of who you're going to hire, and then to come to find out, because I've asked multiple reporters this, were there any other teams interested in Al Golden? Crickets on that. No other team. The only team that wanted Al Golden was the team that had him in Notre Dame and the Cincinnati Bengals. No other NFL team, with all the teams that had defensive coordinator openings last year, no other team wanted or was interested in Al Golden. But you guys, the fans, know he used to be a linebacker coach here. There's a lot of praise out there. A lot of people feel good about, stop. Nauseating. The team stinks. The defense stinks. The team doesn't stink. The defense stinks. Zach Taylor's not the problem. I'm so sick and tired of hearing about firing Zach Taylor. That's not going to fix anything. The Bengals have been one of the most explosive offenses in the league for years, and that has been with Joe Burrow. In Joe Burrow's absence, Joe Flacco arrives. They're explosive again. I know Jake Browning was not good this year, but let's remember the whole reason that the Bengals kept Jake Browning was because of how good he was. He had a 500 record in Joe Burrow's absence in previous seasons. Zach Taylor won with Jake Browning. He's won with Joe Burrow, and now he's won with Joe Flacco. He could win football games in the absence of Joe Burrow, but he lost football games with Joe Burrow because of how bad this defense is. And you guys know, Zach Taylor, all right, Marvin Lewis, it doesn't matter. You do not have the power or the control of this roster. You just don't. Duke Tobin is the problem. You should be mad at Duke Tobin. You should be mad at the Brown family. That's who you should be screaming about. Duke Tobin is a makeshift general manager that loves to be in front of the mic when things are going well, but then hides when things aren't going well. This is the same guy that talked all big and bad and tough at NFL media days or at the combine and all this stuff whenever he was addressing everyone saying, it's not my responsibility to make other teams better. Remember when when all the talk about the Bengals are going to possibly trade T. Higgins, remember when this doofus actually said, it's not my responsibility to make other teams better? But it is your responsibility, Duke Tobin, to make your team better. And the only thing you have done since the Bengals made it to the Super Bowl 3-4 years ago is you've made them worse, all while saying those ridiculous things in front of a mic. And I get why maybe he doesn't address the media because he says ridiculous things like that. One more time, stop blaming Zach Taylor. 937-518-1410. That's the number to call and jump in on the conversation. Bengals fans, I get you're frustrated. But I have good news for you. Nothing's really changed. Your season's not done. I saw a lot of that yesterday. Season's over. Did you watch the Steelers? The season's not over. The Bengals are actually fine. I mean, I feel better about the Bengals than the Steelers because the Steelers, I don't necessarily know what they do extremely well. I don't think they're an elite offense. The Bengals defense is bad, and so is the Steelers. But the Bengals have an elite offense. The Steelers don't. The Bengals are fine, guys. Relax, calm down, and stop saying stupid things like we need to fire Zach Taylor because you don't. You don't. You need to breathe and relax and realize how fortunate you are that you're still in the division race without Joe Burrow. And that's because of Zach Taylor's offense, Joe Flacco, Jamar Chase. Shout out to Samaje Perine yesterday. That was pretty cool. We'll be right back. It's the Justin Kinner Show presented by Frickers here on a Monday. 937-518-1410. I see the calls coming in hot. Let's get you guys on hold, and we'll get your takes when we come back. More of the Justin Kinner Show next.
2nd. Some exclusions apply. See store or Kohl's.com for details.
Justin Kinner Show. Right here on 1410 ESPN Radio.
College Football Hall of Famer Keith Byars joins us 40 minutes from now. He'll hop in studio with us. We'll talk about the Browns, the Bengals struggles, and preview Ohio State's showdown with Penn State coming up this Saturday. Not the showdown we expected. We expected a top 5 showdown between the Nittany Lions and the Buckeyes. We will not get that, but again, still a big game for Ohio State. Texas A&M continues to pile up big top 25 road wins, all while being undefeated. Indiana remains undefeated as well, and they've had some very impressive top 10 wins. Resumes are starting to surpass Ohio State, and some of it's not even their fault. Texas isn't as good as what we thought, and Penn State, this is almost a throwaway Big Ten game when we thought this would be one of the biggest games in the entire world of college football. So we'll talk about that with Keith Byars coming up here later on in the program. I'm Justin Kinner. We welcome you back. 937-518-1410. The Bengals, they go down at the hands of the Jets yesterday, 39-38 the final. The Jets were winless heading into that. Now, I was at Fricker's yesterday doing the Sunday morning tailgate show, and the one thing I said was, and I picked the Bengals to win, but I said I expected the Bengals to win a close, ugly game because that's what the Jets have done. We put the Jets in the category of they're just a horrendous team. They were 0-7. You have the owner calling out the quarterback, and the Jets have been bad, yes, but defensively, the Jets have been really, really good, and the Jets just don't get blown out. 5 of their 7 losses, heading into yesterday's matchup, 5 of their 7 losses all came within one possession. They'd only given, their offense, it's very Browns-esque, to be honest with you. They had only given up 13 points the previous 2 weeks, and they lost 13-11 and 13-6. The team, they've been competitive. They just haven't been able to close out the deal. Their offense hasn't been good enough. The Bengals offense we know is good enough, but we know that defense is just bad enough to make even the worst team look good. The Browns haven't looked offensively functional since week 1. And I know they only put up, 14 points or whatever it was against the Bengals that week. But Joe Flacco nearly threw for 300 yards that game. You had multiple receivers. The offense has disappeared for Cleveland since then. Thank you, Cincinnati Bengals defense. That's how you should have known that this was going to be a train wreck of a year. You should have known it was going to be a train wreck of a year when they made absolutely zero moves in the offseason to address this defense outside of, we'll get rid of Lou Anarumo. We know he's not actually the problem, but you know what? It's going to make the fans feel like we were proactive and did something we could to help fix this team and put them in a better position to win. That was the worst decision, and I said it then, and it's come true now. Firing Lou Anarumo was a mistake, and you made it worse by bringing in Al Golden, who I don't think even comes close to fixing any problem right here. And I said before, the red flag about Al Golden that I had when we started interviewing different Bengals reporters, NFL insiders, and what have you, what other NFL teams were in on Al Golden? 0. None. That should have been a red flag right there. When you're constantly going after pieces that nobody else is interested in, that should tell you right there, you're not the Bengals, they don't deserve the benefit of the doubt. They're not the smartest team in the room. So if any other team did it, that could be a very underrated, sneaky good move. When the Bengals do it, it's to cut corners and to cut costs. And that's what it screams to me. And now you guys are screaming on Sunday. And like I said before, look, Zach Taylor, he's not coach of the year by any means, but can we stop blaming Zach Taylor? How can you watch yesterday's game? How can you, but the some of the decision making in the play clock, and I just said he's not a top 5 coach in the NFL, but this is not why they're not winning football games. How could you watch that yesterday? They scored 38 points and lost. Zach Taylor is an offensive-minded head coach who was brought here to bring some of that offensive spark to the Bengals, knowing you had Joe Burrow, knowing you had T. Higgins at the time, knowing you were going to get Jamar Chase and just go full front. He's doing technically what he should. The reason Browns fans are mad in Cleveland is because Stefanski's supposed to be this offensive genius, but yet they're only in games because of the side of the ball that he knows nothing about, and that's defense. Zach Taylor, it's not like the Bengals, like if the Bengals had an elite defense and were losing because the offense can't muster up any points, I get why you would want him out. Zach Taylor's not the problem. I've never seen a coach get absolutely zero credit for the team's success and then all the blame for whenever things don't go well, all while watching how bad that defense was yesterday. And not just yesterday, but all last year as well. I remember watching that last year. I'm like, Zach Taylor's the problem? Joe Burrow has flourished in Zach Taylor's system. So Joe Burrow's successful in spite of him. Says who? Says who? Think about this. When Joe Burrow wants something, he gets it. When Joe Burrow doesn't like something, he lets you know. And Joe Burrow has had many opportunities that he could have said, we need a new head coach, and he doesn't, because Joe Burrow knows that he flourishes in this offense. He flourishes in Zach Taylor's offense with Jamar Chase and T. Higgins, and if it ain't broke, don't fix it. What he should be screaming about is how bad the defense is. We're live on the Justin Kinner Show Facebook page. And I'm going to get to your calls in a second. I know we have two callers in Springfield. I know Dick from Dayton, he's waiting on hold. We'll get to him in a moment as well. Troy, what up, Troy? Troy on the Justin Kinner Show Facebook page says, my Cowboys in the state of Ohio have been eliminated from the playoffs. I agree. Cowboys aren't going anywhere. Browns aren't going anywhere. But I don't think, nothing's changed for the Bengals. This isn't the Bengals. Oh, man, I hope they can get in the wild card. The Bengals could still win this division. The Steelers aren't very good, guys. They're a 7 to 9 win team in that range. And guess what? So are the Bengals. Nothing's changed. If the Steelers would have beat Green Bay last night, that would have made yesterday's loss worse. But you're angry. That was a painful, gut-wrenching loss. I get your frustration. Stop blaming Zach Taylor. The Bengals are a 3-5 team. You look at the Steelers, they're a 4-win team at this point. The Bengals aren't out anything. The AFC North is still wide open. The Steelers are 4-3. The Bengals are 3-5. You're one game behind the team that you already beat, who you'll face again coming up here in a few weeks and have another opportunity to close the gap. That was a missed opportunity yesterday. Absolutely. That defense is going to make the Bengals vulnerable the rest of the way. But the defense for the Steelers is really bad. And they don't have the offense that the Bengals do. I'm more confident in the Bengals than the Steelers the rest of the way. Two teams with bad defenses, two teams with veteran quarterbacks, 40 years old, leading the way. I love the Bengals offense, though. I respect and trust the Bengals offense more than I do the offense for the Steelers at this point. The Bengals are fine. Let's check the temperature of Bengals fans. Let's go to the phones. Let's go to Springfield. We got Bubba in Springfield. Thanks for holding, man. How are you?
Hey, Justin, thanks for having me. I got two words that's going to describe this era of Bengal football, and that's squandered opportunity.
Yep.
You have three players that are generational players in the quarterback and the two wide receivers, and the Browns family will not put a defense that will help them win games. And it's unbelievable. What's going to happen is these players are going to get older, and this golden opportunity of having three generational players will be gone. And it's going to be a squandered opportunity. And the fans should just turn their backs on the Browns family. Because I'll tell you what, they don't do what is everyone can see it. I agree with you 100%. Zach Taylor's not the problem. The problem is that they're squandering this opportunity by not putting a defense that can stop anybody.
And Bubba, that's the thing too. I don't know how they could watch what happened last year and that not have been the motivating factor for them heading into the offseason. And that's what's frustrating is okay, I want to believe that what they're watching now is going to motivate them heading into next offseason. But if it didn't before, why would it do it now? I just don't understand the mindset, and Duke Tobin's name needs to be brought up more, and it's just not, and I don't get it. But we'll see. Again, they're going to have more losses like this moving forward, unfortunately, and that's just going to make the seat hotter and hotter for a lot of people higher up. I feel like Zach Taylor is going to be the scapegoat, and that's going to be a problem. If Zach Taylor's the scapegoat, nothing's going to change, in my opinion, for quite some time.
Well, you're exactly right, and the Bengals fans have lived with the Browns family squandering this opportunity, and they're going to look back and say, oh my God, we had three people that were Pro Bowl talent, and we did nothing with them because we couldn't stop the run. I mean, it's unbelievable.
I think, Joe Flacco didn't throw for 300+ yards and wow everybody yesterday, but still made some big throws and connected with Jamar Chase, making sure you're getting the playmakers the ball. The offense put up 38 yesterday. If the offense didn't come through yesterday, I would be more bummed if I'm a Bengals fan. But the Bengals were who they were yesterday. That's technically who they were against the Steelers. You scored 30 and gave up 30. You just, the time was in your favor. You beat the Steelers. It was almost the same game as the week before, as crazy as it sounds.
Joe Flacco's face after he beat the Steelers, he was grinning from ear to ear because he has these two receivers that nobody else has. He was grinning from ear to ear. That's not the issue. They can't stop anybody. They can't stop the run. They can't stop the pass. But I tell you, it's on the Browns family for not doing it, because this is the time that they should be winning Super Bowls, and they're not going to do it. It's a shame. It's criminal.
Especially with not just how bad the North is, but the AFC as a whole. I mean, like you keep,
Absolutely.
I said a little bit ago, you've just, pounded the pavement with it as well. It's missed opportunity. Like they're going to look back at this and say, my goodness. And it's not just because Joe Burrow's in, like they're not losing right now because Joe Burrow's out. They're losing right now because of the defense. And I'm not convinced that they would have won yesterday, even with Joe Burrow. So.
Well, you're absolutely right. But it's the defense, and they've done it over and over and over. It's the same old story. Thanks for the call.
Hey, anytime. Call anytime. Appreciate you listening. Thank you. 937-518-1410. Let's go to Scott. Scott, you're on live, sir. How are you?
This isn't Scott, it's AJ.
Oh, AJ. Sorry. My apologies. Your name popped up differently on the screen. My apologies. But, hey, man, you're on live. How's it going?
Hey, what's up, Justin? Hey, man, I'm kind of upset with you because I've never seen you be such a Zach Taylor apologist.
Technically, I've always been semi-pro Zach Taylor because I've always felt he does, like, if the team was like 7-1 right now and the offense was great and the offense has been fine, you guys don't want to give him credit. But the second things go wrong, even if it's not his side of the ball, and we all know how bad this defense is, everyone wants to blame him, and it just doesn't make any sense to me. But I watched that game yesterday, and I couldn't believe when I checked social media that everybody I guess the summary on social media was fire Zach Taylor. I just don't get how that changes anything right now. That doesn't fix anything. I would leave Zach Taylor, the play caller, alone. The offense is humming. You're in position to win games because of Zach Taylor's offense. I just can't believe people are so just adamantly against him at this exact moment.
So here's what I'll say. I am one of my biggest flaws is being an empathetic person. I give people the benefit of the doubt. I've heard people scream from the rooftops for years, fire Zach.
I did not hang up on you. So, AJ, call back, 937-518-1410. AJ, give us a call back, man. I'll try to get you back on. We'll jump you ahead of a couple people real quick since I went to you so quick. But 937-518-1410. You guys have listened for those who have listened for a while. You guys know I've always said Zach Taylor's not a top 5 coach in the NFL by any means, but he's not why this team is struggling. He's an offensive-minded head coach. His job, as the head coach, yes, is to make sure everything's buttoned up. But I've never understood what that means. Like when you guys say that, well, it's, he's responsible for what's on the defense as well. Well, I would get that if he's responsible for the hirings. Like he's not making those decisions. We know he doesn't get to decide who is there and who's not there. So that's the problem. In college, when you're the head coach in college and you get to pick your defensive coordinator and pick your offensive coordinator and pick these things, that's one thing. But we know that wasn't Zach Taylor's decision to fire Lou Anarumo to go after, an Al Golden. I just don't think that's the case. I think we got AJ back. AJ, you're back on live, man. Sorry about that.
Sorry about that, Justin. I'm driving. I hit a dead spot. So here's my problem, and it's becoming more apparent to me week after week, is the Bengals are soft, especially on defense.
Yeah.
And, yeah, it's nice when everything's moving good on offense, but when it comes down to crunch time and you've got to get that first down, you can't sit here and tell me that play calling on the last 2 or 3 drives on offense was smart play calling. These guys are not held accountable. Defense is not held accountable. Defensive coaches, coordinators, not held accountable. And to a certain degree on offense, they're not held accountable either. I don't know if you heard Zach Taylor's press conference that he just had, but it was the least inspiring thing I've ever heard in my life. Like, they shouldn't have lost to that team.
Oh, no doubt, especially because you had such a large lead. And that's another, it's one thing if it's like score for score, but you also let a team back into it as well, which is frustrating. Let me ask you, what do you mean by people need to be held more accountable? What is that? I hear fans say that all the time, and I've used it before, and I guess I don't even know what I mean when I say that. What do you mean by they need to be held accountable? What would they have to do for you to say, they're holding them accountable, I guess? Because they fired Lou Anarumo. Right? What do you mean by holding him accountable?
Lou Anarumo was a scapegoat.
Yeah, agreed.
Because of poor talent. One, they just got very bad players on defense. And, they get these players in. They don't bring in a lot of veterans or guys that have had a lot of time in the league. They're all these pieces that need to be worked on and improvement. But guess what? These guys don't improve. Cam Taylor-Britt, he doesn't even deserve to play high school football. And he's been year after year after year of this, and he's not improving. So at what point, who is held accountable for his development? And it's not just Cam Taylor-Britt. It's a lot of the other players too. But, I mean, just that's what I mean, accountability. If you're not doing your job, then get the heck out of here and get someone in here who can do the job. You can only give someone – these guys only have so long of a leash. I mean, you've got fans that are spending millions and millions of dollars to support this team. You've got ownership that is paying these guys millions and millions of dollars. Like, at what point, I mean, I don't know. Yesterday was just very, very frustrating. I've been a Bengals fan for darn near 40 years of my life. And, yeah, we've had a couple flashes here and there. You know, when we went to the Super Bowl, that was great. But we always regress to the mean. And that needs to change. And I don't know how you change that accountability, but Zach Taylor is not Dan Campbell. Zach Taylor is not inspiring.
I get that, but you don't think that the fact that you're without Joe Burrow and that he's got this team to rally to continue to compete and be in games, and they're losing because the same way as they lost last year with Joe Burrow at quarterback. Like I agree with you, but I disagree only because this team they're not quitting. They're without Joe Burrow, and they're still out there busting their ass trying to find ways to win football games. They're just losing the same way they did with Joe Burrow, and that's out of that side of the balls. You know what? I think it's just because Zach's been around so long, and it's just like you need a fresh shakeup, and that's where this feels like it's trending as far as that goes. I think they do need a reset at the end of the year, depending on how this season ends. I just don't think firing Zach in the middle of the season makes a whole lot of sense. But
no,
yeah. And he's not perfect. He is not perfect. He's not perfect. If the Browns need it, no, I'm
this
sorry.
will never happen.
Keep going. My bad.
It goes to Duke Tobin.
Yes, that I agree with.
He's been doing this for 25 years, and we got crap players outside of hitting the lottery with Joe Burrow and T. Higgins and Jamar Chase.
Yep.
What else we got?
And look, and I said that the best players you have. It's not like you got them because you found gems like, oh, man, he has an eye for talent. I mean, you won 2 games. That's how you got Joe Burrow. You won 4. That's how you got Joe Burrow and T. Higgins. And then you won 4 games. That's how you got Jamar Chase and Logan Wilson and guys like that over those 2 drafts, right? Like, and again, that's how all teams get good at a certain point. But he had a responsibility to continue drafting well, and they just haven't done it. It's a Duke Tobin problem, not a Zach Taylor problem. But Zach Taylor's not perfect either. I think we can meet in the middle, at least as far as that goes. But, hey, AJ, I appreciate you calling. Yeah, like the thing is, the Steelers lost. I don't think anything's really changed. I think the Bengals still have a good chance to compete for this division because the Steelers aren't very good. The Browns aren't going to do a damn thing. And I don't know how the Ravens pulled that off yesterday, but maybe they're the ones we should be worried about.
Yeah, Ravens might get hot. Bengals, like I said, they're still in it, but they are outside of some flashes on offense. When it's easy, when it gets hard, the offense falls apart. They're just not very inspiring to me. They're still in it. I get it. I get that, but I'm not too optimistic about their chances of making the playoff.
All good, man. Hey, AJ, you the man. I appreciate you calling. Thanks for calling back too.
Later, Justin.
937-518-1410. Everyone thought I was going to just crack this mic and rub it into Bengals fans. Have you seen what's on my hat right here? It's a Browns helmet. It's a Browns logo. I'm not in a position to rub any losses of your team in your face when what I just saw yesterday. Let me ask you guys this. I'm going to talk with Byars about this. KB is going to be in here in about 20 minutes or so. What's worse, being a Browns fan or a Bengals fan? And what I mean is, if I'm going to tune in each week, because you Bengals fans have watched the same thing every week. You've watched an electric offense with no defense. I have tuned in every week to watch a team that is embarrassing offensively, as embarrassing as your team is defensively, with an elite defense. Which team is it harder to be a fan of right now? The team that has an elite offense and no defense, or the team that has literally no freaking offense and an elite defense? Which is worse? I mean, if we could just take the Bengals offense with the Browns defense, there's not a team that would come close to that hybrid team. But man, what a disaster. The Bengals have found a way to ruin an elite offense, and the Browns have found a way to ruin a good defense. It's It's frustrating. I see a lot of the comments still in the chat. I'm going to respond to your comments in the chat. Head to the Justin Kinner Show Facebook page. All right. You can watch the show live. I'll pull your comments into the show and read them and interact with you that way, or give me a call, 937-518-1410. Dick from Dayton. I see Miller and Tyler. I see a couple other calls on hold. We're going to get to you guys when we come back. It's the Justin Kinner Show presented by Frickers.
company match. Apply online at CordellTransportation.com. Cordell Transportation, driven to succeed.
Justin Kinner Show. Right here on 1410 ESPN Radio.
College basketball season is almost here. Dayton and Bowling Green will tip off tonight at UD Arena. Final exhibition play for your Flyers ahead of the 2025-26 college basketball season tipping off. Coming up here in about 30 minutes, we'll dive in to, the sports betting scandals that are basically taking over the world of sports. It might have trickled in to Dayton Flyers basketball. We'll talk about that more in detail with a lot of things that are said with allegedly. A lot of stuff that's kind of going down. There's one of the Flyers guards is going to be held out for quite some time until some stuff gets ironed out. We'll talk about who that guard is and the impact it'll have on the Flyers ahead of the 2025-26 season. Coming up more here in just a little bit. We welcome you back. I'm Justin Kinner, Dayton's ESPN Radio 1410 Wing AM. As far as college basketball goes, we're Dayton's radio home for Wright State basketball and Ohio State basketball. And you can catch every Buckeye and Raiders game all season long right here on 1410 ESPN Radio. Wright State tips off the season next Monday night. And we'll have more on that, and tickets will be given away coming up here throughout the week as well. The Bengals lose yesterday. The Browns lose yesterday, and I've weighed in a lot on the Bengals. I'll continue to get your responses to that. I want to get over to the Browns before Byars comes in here shortly, but I do want to get back to your guys' comments and responses here. Nonetheless, if you're watching live again, you'll be able to read these comments that have been sent in to the Justin Kinner Show. Look, the bottom line is this. Let me go to, Brian Weaver already said Duke Tobin should be fired. I agree, but Duke Tobin's not going to be fired. He's a makeshift general manager. He's a fake general manager. He's like, for the longest time, they didn't even have a general manager. They don't have a scouting department, or I'm sorry, they do. It's just the smallest one in football. They added a couple extra ones, and everyone said, see, they're growing. How about you just not slightly grow? How would you just catch up with the times? When they were winning and you had the smallest scouting department, that was impressive. But now that you're losing, and you're losing with elite talent, that should scare you off. That should show you right there why maybe you shouldn't go to battle, behind the eight ball a little bit with everybody else. This organization, the Bengals, they're just so frustrating. You're fortunate to have a Joe Burrow, a T. Higgins, a Jamar Chase, and a Trey Hendrickson. You're fortunate to have the talent that you do, and yet you're not losing because of those guys. You're losing because of Duke Tobin and the lack of urgency that these off seasons have been attacked with. And I stated before, I've also felt like the Bengals never truly attacked these off seasons with urgency during the Joe Burrow rookie contract era. When Joe Burrow was on a rookie deal with Jamar and T, and think about that. The reason that this team is having a hard time putting a roster together is because Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, and Joe Burrow have all been paid handsomely. Well, what were they doing when they weren't being paid handsomely? This idea that they can't put a team together because they paid them, they really weren't able to put a team together when they weren't paying them because they did more of pulling pieces away than adding. It's so frustrating, and this isn't an I hate the Bengals hour. They deserve this criticism. This isn't me as a hater, as you guys like to call me, being a hater. Stop me when I'm telling lies. Like, I don't understand. What am I saying that's wrong? You could be mad at me. That's fine. I'm a Browns fan. I'm wearing a Browns hat. I'm bashing your team. I'm going to bash my team here in a moment. But man, oh man, very frustrating. Ryan Strong on the Facebook page says, Al Golden was a good pickup. Worst ownership in the NFL. Yesterday was an embarrassment. Did you mean Al Golden was not a good pickup? I disagree, Ryan. You said Ryan Strong. I strongly disagree with you that Al Golden was a good pickup. And to slightly defend Al Golden and Lou Anarumo, I don't think that there's a DC out there that would do anything different with this group because you have guys that can't tackle, all right, that can't stay healthy, that can't improve. Like, no one's improving, no one's getting better. And the whole reason that Al Golden was brought here from Notre Dame is because people tried to simplify it and say, well, coaches in college are significantly better at molding and developing and teaching talent. And with the Bengals having such a young defense, if they go get a DC out of college who knows how to talk to younger talent and teach and develop, then that should go a long way in that locker room. As if Lou Anarumo, a seasoned veteran defensive coordinator, who, by the way, was in position to get head coaching jobs for the longest time, doesn't know how to talk to talent, doesn't know how to develop talent. I have a hard time believing that. Look at what he's doing in Indianapolis. The bottom line is Lou Anarumo has talent in Indianapolis. He didn't have talent after that, in the last year he was in Cincinnati. And Al Golden doesn't have talent here. So maybe I'm being a little too critical of Al Golden, but the bottom line is Al Golden has the same talent as Lou Anarumo did a year ago, and they're worse. They are dead last in every major statistical category out there. I don't get it. You know what's wild? We had Solomon Wilcott's former Bengal on Friday, and we talked about, the AFC North, how it's just old school smash mouth football. Look at the Ravens, Bengals, and Steelers. You want to know the only team in the AFC North that technically plays old school smash mouth football? It's the Cleveland Browns. That's it. The Cleveland Browns are the only team in the North with a defense. They're the only team in the North that can effectively run the football. Outside of that, nobody. I mean, the Ravens are all finesse now. The Bengals are all finesse. The Steelers have gone finesse. It's kind of wild that everyone, craps on the Browns and say, they're going away. They're not a tough franchise. They're not, they're going away from what makes the AFC North tough. Why? Because you play your bad defense outside while the Browns play their good defense inside moving forward. Look, let's move over to Cleveland now, shall we? But no, real quick on that, Ryan, I disagree about Al Golden being a good pickup. Maybe he will be a good DC. He doesn't have the right personnel right now to be good, but man, oh man, I just don't think it was a good pickup. They should have kept Lou Anarumo and focused on getting better players at the end of the day. Tyler Fife on Facebook, he says, I've seen reports today that the defense had a players-only meeting, and that's not going to do jack squat. This defense couldn't stop a peewee football team. I mean, look, I would love to be a fly on a wall and find out what the defensive players-only meeting did. Look, we've seen this storyline before. If the Bengals go out and they have they look good defensively in their next matchup against the Bears, it's going to be, I could see it and hear it now. Oh man, the Bengals, their defense has only given up, X amount of yards since the players only meeting that was held after the loss against the Jets. Folks, I hate to break it to you, but they could have a players only meeting every single day. It ain't going to get better. The defense is not good. We knew the pass rush was going to be bad. It's even worse without Trey Hendrickson, who's out hurt now. Cam Taylor-Britt, you guys kept waiting on him to kind of wake up and come to life a bit. The only thing he's done is kill this season. He's not good. These guys are not good. It's frustrating because that offense for the Bengals right now is good enough to win this division. It's good enough to win this division. Donald, what up, Donald? Donald Hutton Jr. says Ohio State hired the better defensive coordinator. I mean, if I'm the Cincinnati Bengals, I'm looking at Patricia, and I'm going to stop at nothing to get him to come be the Bengals defensive coordinator next season. With what we're seeing, with what's going on in Columbus and Ohio State and the dominant defense that the Buckeyes have had ever since acquiring him, my goodness. And we see this all the time. Some of these high-profile coaches that kind of fizzle out, they go to college and they coach with a big college program like Alabama with Nick Saban, or now Ryan Day in Ohio State. And we saw it with Chip Kelly last year, and boom, he gets a very high-paying OC job with the Raiders. Patricia's going to be in the same boat. You know what, Donald? If I'm Cincinnati, I'm keeping an eye on Patricia. And if I'm Zach Taylor and company, I'm doing everything in my power to make sure that they get in front of him and a hold of him at some point. Adam Selsner on Facebook says, because this is the question I threw out. Browns fans, Bengals fans, which fan base is it tougher to be a part of? If you're a Bengals fan, you're watching an elite offense lose games because of how historically bad your defense is. If you are a Browns fan, you're watching an elite defense. Myles Garrett has 5 sacks yesterday, and the offense can't complete a pass further than 15 yards down the field. It is embarrassing. Which is tougher? Being a fan base of a team that has an elite defense and absolutely no offense, or a team with an elite offense and absolutely no defense? So Adam Selsner on Facebook says it's worse to be a Browns fan. The team since coming back in 1999 cannot get lucky in the draft-worthy talent, bring in good coaching, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Yeah, look, here's the thing. I agree. I think it's way worse to be a Browns fan than a Bengals fan. As frustrated as Bengals fans are, when you tune into a game each week, you have a chance to win because of that offense. Now, I would like to think that the Browns have a chance to win because of that defense. But when you can't consistently move the ball down the field, you have no shot. The Bengals being able to score almost every other time down the field, you have a shot to win every game. It's going to tick you off when you lose games like you did multiple times last year and what we saw over the weekend against the Jets. But at least you're going to be watching exciting games. You're going to be sitting on the edge of your seat. Your heart's going to be beating 1,000 miles per hour. Your blood pressure is going to be through the roof. You're going to be screaming and angry and happy. And you're going to feel all sorts of emotion. Browns fans were pissed off from the kickoff. I'm sorry, not kickoff, because it seems like Kevin Stefanski and the Browns, they practice like a series of plays all week long, and they master those, and then they have no clue what the hell they're doing after the first drive. The Browns are usually pretty good on the opening drive, and it feels like they're about to set the tone. They score on the majority of opening drives and then get their teeth punched in for the rest of the way. It's so beyond frustrating and nauseating, and I'm over Dylan Gabriel. Dylan Gabriel, I'm so tired of people. Oh, he's a rookie. Be patient. I could be patient. At least with Bo Nix, who didn't look elite to start, he showed flashes of stuff. I haven't seen anything from Dylan Gabriel. Dylan Gabriel said, explosive plays can come in multiple ways. Yes, it's making big plays, throwing it down the field 20, 25 plus yards, but also it could be an explosive play of a wide receiver catching a pass 5 yards out and then taking it the distance. Yeah, that's what we need. We just need more of those plays. Can we do that? It's not Dylan Gabriel's fault. It's the wide receivers who can't take a 5-yard catch and turn it into a 95-yard touchdown. This kid, I'm telling you, I'm over it. And I'm over Kevin Stefanski. Kevin Stefanski didn't have to say jack squat after yesterday's game, but had the nerve to tell everybody that he's not going to make a quarterback change coming out of the bye week. Moron. How can a guy that knows more NFL, more football than I do, sit there and watch that? How do I feel like the idiot when I sit there and watch that and think that there's something else that's going to come of it? How can he sit there and look at that and think that there's something more to come of it? It's absolutely insane. I've seen enough. I am over it. It's embarrassing. The Cleveland Browns are a freaking embarrassment at this point. They really are. They are straight up embarrassing. Dylan Gabriel is not an NFL quarterback. He is not good. Kevin Stefanski is a 2-time coach of the year who I was a big fan of, and I feel like he has completely lost his dang mind at this point. Shedeur Sanders needs to be the starting quarterback for the Browns coming out of the bye week. I would take Deshaun Watson as the starting quarterback of this team coming out of the bye week. Deshaun Watson at his worst with Cleveland has still been better than the crap that we've seen over this last month since going to Dylan Gabriel. He's had every opportunity. The Patriots were the 9th worst pass defense in the NFL, and he couldn't move the ball on them. Oh, but the offense looked good last week. You mean against the Dolphins when Quinshon Judkins rushed for not 1, not 2, but 3 touchdowns. Dylan Gabriel ain't it. Not it. I mean, he's just not it. We got to stop with this charade. All right, I'm getting the warning that KB's waiting to come in. Keith Byars, College Football Hall of Famer. We're going to chat with him, his thoughts on the Ohio State-Penn State game. Plus, is it tougher to be a fan of a team with an elite offense and no defense, or is it tougher to be a fan of a team with no offense and an elite defense? I'll throw that question to Keith. He'll open up the second hour with us when we come back. It's the Justin Kinder Show presented by Frickers. Frickers, your home for fun, food, sports, and spirits.
Justin Kinner Show. Right here on 1410 ESPN Radio.
All right, and we welcome you back. It's the Justin Kinner Show presented by Frickers. Frickers, your home for fun food, sports, and spirits. 937-518-1410, the number to call and jump in on the conversation. We'll get back to that. We'll get back to your calls more coming up here in just a moment. The Justin Kinner Show also brought to you by our friends over at Dayton Weight Loss Secret. The Dayton Weight Loss Secret program has successfully helped thousands of people, me included, lose 20 to 30 pounds in the first month or two. You can schedule your free consultation in person or virtually by calling Dr. Justin and his staff at Dayton Weight Loss Secret today, 937-999-1480. Or, of course, you could schedule it online at DaytonWeightLossSecret.com. All right. Happy Monday. We welcome you guys back and hopping on the program with us now. Of course, you heard him earlier today on the Keith Byars Show, which you can catch every Monday from 11 to noon. Former Philadelphia Eagle, 13-year NFL vet, former Buckeye, College Football Hall of Famer. I think that checks off all the boxes. Mr. Keith Byars, welcome, sir.
Good to be here on your show today, Justin.
I didn't get to hang out with you over the weekend, so I had to make sure I squeezed time in today.
Yes, indeed. I think you had a busy weekend. I had a little bit busier weekend, being in Philadelphia. In the link back in the city of brotherly love, and I got a chance to see my beloved Eagles take care of business against those G-men from New York, those Giants, and that was good to be there.
You're talking into the mic and into the ears of a lot of people who do not get to experience their team winning over the weekend.
No.
And, usually you have the Buckeyes to fall back on when they play on Saturday, but they had a bye week, so there was no successful Ohio team with the Bearcats.
Well, the Buckeyes usually soften the blow for the Bengals and the Browns.
Yeah.
Everybody said the Bearcats tried to, fill in. Yeah, I guess that was, like a good appetizer.
That's
Wasn't a meal. It was a little bit of appetizer, for the fans. But then Sunday came, and a lot of people around the water coolers today not very happy that's wearing orange. No. Burnt orange or sunshine orange, whatever they call the Bengals orange. No. Not good.
Look, so Cam, with he one of the sponsors of your show earlier in the day with Lee's, they dropped off the food, and he's a Bengals fan. I'm a Browns fan. And I go, if you are a fan, if you're a fan of one of those two teams, you're watching two teams who have a lot of similarities. You're watching two teams who have one really, really strong side of the ball,
mm-hmm.
and it's being impacted by how bad the horrible side of the ball is. Which team is it tougher to be a fan of, Keith? The team that has an elite defense and no offense, or the team like Cincinnati that has an elite offense and absolutely no defense, the worst defense in the NFL? Which fan base do you think it's tougher to be a fan of?
Oh, the team with no defense, as far as you break between the Browns and the Bengals.
Yep.
Oh, I mean, at least the Browns have a rookie quarterback that's, struggling, but rookie's going to struggle just a matter of when, not if they're going to struggle throughout their rookie year. But that Bengals defense is atrocious. It is atrocious. Can we just take the D out of the defense? Let's just call it the Bengals quote-unquote defense is offensive. It has a foul odor out of it. When they beat the Steelers a couple weeks ago, it's only because time ran out.
Yeah.
When the Steelers had that big play with fire move, he scored a touchdown. Never a bad thing, but maybe he scored a little too soon because, the Steelers defense is horrible too. And the Bengals went down, scored, and then Aaron Rodgers had time for about 2 or 3 plays, and next thing you know, the ball was around midfield. And it's like Steelers just ran out of time.
Yeah.
But the Bengals, what hurts the most is that, we've been friends for some years now. You know how I look at the NFL season. It's a 16 or 17 game season, and I break it up 4 games at a time. First quarter, second quarter, third quarter, fourth quarter. So the first half of the season just ended for the Bengals, and they finished at 3-5. The first quarter they were 2-2. Second quarter they were 1-3. And at 3-5 at the midway point of the season, similar to where they were last year. They're 3-5. They could be 5-3, but they could also be 1-7. But now the second half of the season is coming up. The 9th game is the bonus game, that 17th game. So the Bengals start the season all over with again. That means the offense is good enough to win games. I always say in the NFL on Sundays, if you can score 20 or more points, like 20 to 21 points, you got a good, 60% chance of winning that game.
Yeah.
But, if you score 30 points, you should have an 80%, 90% chance to win the game. So defense, Bengals. And when you're giving up 28, 30 points, you're not going to win a whole lot of those football games. You need to try to keep your opponents under 20. Nobody's asking you to throw out those shutouts. Under 20, under 22, 23 points. That way you give your offense a chance to be in the game. Because I know every week is going to be, you're not going to score that many points every week. But doggone Bengals, you got to take the ball away from your opponents. You got to get off the field. But when you're constantly giving up third downs, staying on the field longer, not getting off the field, period, without giving up points, it's a recipe for disaster. And it's coming. It's just up to them. When are you going to put your foot in the stand and say, hey, take a step? Hey, I'm not doing my job. Whether it's pass rush not getting there, the defensive backs not covering, linebackers not tackling. It's no one area, which is even more frustrating for the Bengals fans. What area did we concentrate on defense and just say all of it? Because it really is all of it. You're not getting a consistent pass rush. You're not making you're missing tackles, and you're not necessarily covering people either. So it's just like where you blow it all up. The second half of the season starts next week, and somebody got something. Where's your leadership? I've asked that question all last year. Where's your leadership? Well, Joe Burrow. He's honestly, yes, Joe is the leader. He's not the only. I said leadership, meaning multiple leaders need to step up. I don't see it. Other than Joe Burrow, who's on the sideline. Where's the rest of the leadership coming from? That's why you pay certain guys a certain amount of money to be leaders. You see my Philadelphia Eagles, we brought Brandon Graham back because that defense needs a leader, and a team, we need some leadership, so every team has faced that. I mean, you from whether it's college, pro, where's the leadership? And even the Browns. I mean, the Browns are defense is not slacked up. They're getting it done on defense, but where's that offensive leadership? And where's the general team leadership to be like, guys, I know we got a quarterback, but we all got to come together, to make this happen, to be leaders on this team that turns the game around, because 75% of the games every Sunday are decided by a touchdown or less, 7 points or less.
Yeah.
And either you make the plays or you don't make the plays. Yesterday, the Bengals didn't make enough plays. They gave up a lot of points. You did not make the plays that you should have made. That happens, all around.
Well, yeah, and that's why I threw that question out there. If you're a Browns fan or as a Bengals fan, which fan base is it tougher to be a fan of right now? You said Cincinnati because of the defense. To me, I think it's way more frustrating watching a team that just can't move the ball and can't score because, for one, that's boring football. It's ugly, horrific football. Now, bad defense is ugly as well. But Bengals fans, you can't say you're not entertained. You can't say that you didn't enjoy a shootout yesterday. I would have enjoyed a shootout. I would have enjoyed a back-and-forth game. There's nothing fun to watch with Cleveland right now. Myles Garrett had 5 sacks yesterday, and you don't even feel good about it. It's even hard for me to crack the mic and brag about his 5 sacks because it didn't have an impact on the game.
But Justin, that's what I'm talking about.
It's horrific.
It did have an impact. At least, he's doing his part. But
like Joe Flacco, Jamar Chase, those guys doing their part.
But you also need to don't just be about selfish. Me. I got 5. Mm-hmm. Hey, go encourage your offensive lineman on the sideline. Come on, guys, open up some holes. Block a little bit longer. Let's do. Special teams can make a play.
Yep.
You can always return a punt because the defense is getting stops. You can always return a punt to change the momentum. You can always return a kickoff. You can always block a punt. Always 3 phases of success: offense, defense, and special teams.
Missed field goal for the Browns too. It's brutal to be a Browns.
It's real. What I'm saying? Everybody's accountable. You can't overlook one particular area and just concentrate on one. Remember, I was just in Philadelphia, and every time you heard me say many times that 1991 Eagles defense is the last time a defense in the NFL has been number 1 defense overall, number 1 against the run, number 1 against the pass, and number 1 in total defensive yards. We had 5 starting quarterbacks that year because of injuries.
Yep.
Yet we won 10 games and missed the playoffs on a tiebreaker. So the Bengals, hey, you don't have a quarterback. Step up and get it done. The Browns, you got a young quarterback. Offense, you need to score more in Cincinnati. Defense needs some pick sixes. Strip sacks. Hey, Miles had 5 sacks. Did he strip? Did he strip the quarterback in any of them? No fumbles, no caused fumbles out of 4 or 5 sacks. All those little, you made the sack. Good, great. Now, don't just be content with a sack. Take the ball away from him. Strip him. Inspire your whole team. Because that 1991 season when I was with the Eagles, I'm an offensive player. We got 5 quarterbacks. And as soon as we turn that ball over, or as soon as our defense go get a turnover, they're coming off the field high-fiving each other. I'm looking at them. Hey, get your Gatorade quick because y'all going to be right back out here. This offense stinks. And we would turn the ball right back over. Interception, something stupid. Well, but a lot of times they would set us up. I mean, even as bad as this offense, we don't have no quarterback. We're going to figure out a way, to win a game anyway. And we did. I mean, so our offensive playmakers stepped up. We don't have a quarterback.
Yep.
Still got me at running back. Still got Fred Barnett at wide receiver, Calvin Williams. So we just, guys, that's where leadership comes in. We know we're not good enough. And we signed a quarterback on Wednesday. He's starting on Sunday. He couldn't even audible. I'm in a huddle trying to help him out. So I know I've been a part of a struggling offense before, but that's no excuse. Mm-hmm. You still got to figure out ways to win ball games. And we won 10 ball games with a dynamite defense and opportunistic offense. So that's all you're looking for out of Cleveland is the offense. Just make a play every once in a while. We're giving you short fields.
I'm pleading. That's all I ask. Yeah, as far as the Bengals go, last thing before we move over to college. Over the last 3 seasons, the rest of the NFL is 86-6-2, Keith, when scoring at least 38 points. Over the last 3 seasons, the Bengals are 1-3. The only team with a losing record. The only team with a losing record when they score 38 or more points. That's unbelievable. Whether it's Joe Flacco at quarterback, Joe Burrow, it's clearly, obviously, you win and lose as a team. But we all know right now the Bengals' big deficiencies coming on that defensive end. They have to find a way to get it fixed, no doubt about it.
You've heard me, listeners and people that are watching, I have a formula for success in the NFL. How do you make the playoffs in the NFL? Well, number one, you have to win. The magic number pretty much this year is 10 games. You go 10-7, you got a really good chance, a better than 60% chance to make the playoffs. 11-5, you're definitely 11-6, you're in the playoffs. So you're definitely gonna make the playoffs. So what is the formula for success? Now I'm talking about team success, the whole team. Everyone has goals. So you gotta win 3 games. Your talent in the locker room should win you 3 games.
Yep.
The worst team in the NFL is going 3-14. You don't want to be that team, but they got enough talent to win 3 games. So your talent should win you 3. Can your offense win you 3 other games? That would be 6 wins. Can your defense win you 3 games? That would be 9 wins. So, and your good coach is worth 2 to 3 games a season. I mean, a really good, an elite coach. That's 12 games. So we know teams don't all win 12 games. That would be 12-5. But 12-5 is going to make the playoffs. But now if you come up short in some of those areas, I didn't even mention special teams. Special teams should win you 1 to 2 games. The last second field goal, block punt, and they're kicking all these 50-plus yard field goals. They ought to be good for 3. So that would be 15. But if you come up short in any of those areas, say our special teams, we only won 1 game on special teams. And we only won 1 game on offense, but we won 3 on defense. The numbers would work out. So let's look at the Bengals right now.
Yep.
They are 3-5. Who won those 3 games? Was it offense, defense, or special teams, or coaching? The first game, who they played the first game of the season?
Unfortunately, my Cleveland Browns.
And that was a special teams win?
That was a Cleveland handing him the
special teams won that game. The second game,
they forced 2 turnovers. Technically, the defense came through clutch. They did force two turnovers late in that game, especially on the game clutching drive right there.
There you go. So we're going to half and half.
Yeah.
So second game, they beat Jacksonville. Jackson defense had 4 or 5 turnovers that game. I mean, they were in red zone too against Jacksonville. Trevor Lawrence was giving that ball away.
2 interceptions. Yeah.
So I'll give the defense that one, and then. The other win was the Steelers' offense, right? Joe Flacco. So that's the 3 wins through 8 games. So we can technically stretch and say 1-1-1. 1 special teams, 1 defense, 1 offense. So there's still a lot of games to play. There's still some more football to play. They got 9 games to win, 9 games to go. We're 8 games in. Can the offense go win 3 games? They got to win 2 more games. Can the defense win 2 more? That's 4 wins. That's 7. Can the special teams win 2 more? That's 9. So we haven't even mentioned the coaching. A good coaching staff, a good coach ought to be worth 3 wins. A good, well, I guess we don't have a good one or a great one. So don't look for nothing from the coaching staff where you like, man, the game plan they get and the decision making they made, that's goes to the coaching. So right now we have 0 out of the coach, and we got 1 out of the other 3 units of the team. Just something to look at going forward. We'll track it going throughout the rest of the season. Now let's turn the page to the Browns. The Browns have how many wins?
2.
2.
I was there for one of them.
Okay, and that one, the game you was at last week.
That's defense, and the run game.
Yeah, but the defense won the game.
Yeah,
and then the other win was against
Green Bay. Oh, them 10
defense.
Points. Yeah, defense won.
So the defense is 2, offense is 0, coaching 0, special team is 0. So that's why the Browns are where they are right now. I hate that. I know it sounds like you're oversimplifying it, but it's just still a formula for success. And when you look at the teams that won playoff games and go to the Super Bowl and go to the playoffs, they check off those boxes. So I'm here to help educate you along the way and just mark my words. That's how it works.
What the hell do you know, Keith?
Just to be
what do you know? I mean, there you go. Not only 13 years in the NFL, but college football Hall of Famer, former Buckeye. We know your football. Ohio State preparing for Penn State. Both Ohio State, Penn State coming out of the bye week as we wrap this conversation up. Ohio State, a 20.5-point favorite. Coming into this season, this was a matchup we all circled, thought it was going to be a top 5 showdown. That's no longer the case.
A month ago, we thought it was going to be a top 5 showdown.
I mean, no doubt. Now, as we sit here right now, Penn State, we can look at that line and realize how much Ohio State's favored by. But Penn State, they have nothing else to lose, Keith. They fired their coach. They came into the season with national championship expectations. They're not even going to make the playoffs, and they're flirting with not even getting a bowl game at this point. They have nothing else to play for. So if all they could do is just put a dent in Ohio State's armor, they could chalk that up as a victory for the season, more than just a W over Ohio State. But that would be something they could hang their hat on. They're coming in. This is it. This is the only game that matters to them for the rest of the season.
Season saver.
Point. Yeah. Not even like to make the play, but just for morale purposes. You beat Ohio State, you feel like, okay, we at least accomplished something this year. Ohio State can't overlook this Penn State team. And to Ryan Day's credit, he's had these guys, this coaching staff as a whole, has had these kids ready to play all season. How do you expect this one to play out coming out of the bye week? A 20.5-point favorite line, Ohio State's favored by.
So I don't look at the favorites. I heard they were favored, but that meant, in my opinion, they're favored every game. When is Ohio State not favored to win? So we are supposed to win.
It's because they don't play the SEC.
No, we are the Ohio State University. I expect us to win. I'm like, I ain't never went to a game with Scarlet and Gray jerseys and thought we was going to lose. We're Ohio State. I never had that expectation. I don't know about today. No. So we have to know that when you play Ohio State, those are season savers. No matter who you are. How did your season go? Y'all play Ohio State? Did y'all beat them? And if you beat them and you still end up the season with not the way you wanted to end, but at least that's going to lead your highlights.
Michigan last year.
This season was nowhere near coming off a national championship. But I guarantee you pull up the Michigan highlight film from the 24th season, it's going to be heavy on Ohio State and Alabama.
Yep.
So Ohio State realizes that. I was watching the documentary yesterday of Saquon Barkley, and they asked State Carr, when did you know you was a dude? When I had a big game against Ohio State. I knew I could play. I knew I could play in that league.
That's the barometer.
That's the barometer.
Standard. Yeah.
So if I'm at Penn State, I want to hang on to my recruits that I have somewhat committed to my school. The roster that I have here, I don't want those guys going in the portal. Hey, I want to just be big. This is my game to be a selling point. We are Penn State. We beat Ohio State. We was going through turbulent times and tough times, and yet we got it together. That's their story of how we beat Ohio State. Went to Ohio Stadium and beat them on the road. That's why you need to come to Penn State. We need players like you. One of my good friends, O.J. McDuffie, might be flying in. He played for the Penn State. And he said, man, we just beat y'all. That's going to really save our season. So Ryan Day hopefully he's well aware of all of this. Have the team ready to play a game, because I'm like, Penn State is wounded. They're expecting to get busted in the mouth. Expecting, hey, man, I can't believe this is halftime and we're still in this game. That would be totally off guard if we get to halftime and we're not up by 10 points or more.
No doubt.
So Ryan had the guys ready to play. You rested, coming off a bye week. Jump on them early and often. They expect to get busted in the mouth. I say don't disappoint them. As soon as they get off that bus, here, take this with you. You have no chance to win. We're going to hit you high, hit you low, all over the place, and we're going to score a lot of points. Defense get, opportunistic. You're playing against a backup quarterback. They don't have to start. Drew Allen won't be there. Everything is geared toward Ohio State blowing them out, and I hate to even use that word against the Penn State. It's a trap game. It's a trap game. Penn State is not a trap game. Be ready to play. You had 2 weeks to get ready for it, so take the time and give us what we're expecting, which is a great win on Saturday. I'll be in the building.
All right, good stuff. Again, Ohio State, Penn State coming up this Saturday. Noon kickoff, 10:30 pregame coverage begins right here on 1410 ESPN Radio. The Justin Kinner Show presented by Frickers. Speaking of Frickers, Keith Byars and myself, we will be live at Frickers in Centerville this Sunday for the Sunday morning tailgate show, talking about that blowout win over Penn State.
Hopefully, you can't
Fingers
wait.
Crossed. Fingers crossed. It's also the final weekend of college football before the first playoff rankings come out, and we'll have more on that on Sunday when we're recapping the Buckeyes' hopefully blowout win over Penn State. Keith, appreciate you as always. Thank you.
Anytime.
All right, good stuff. It's the Justin Kinner Show, 937-518-1410. We'll continue taking your calls more when we come back.
Results may vary.
The Justin Kinner Show. Right here on 1410 ESPN Radio.
937-518-1410. I'm Justin Kinner, the Justin Kinner Show, presented by Frickers. Frickers, your home for fun food, sports, and spirits. Okay. A shout out to Keith Byars. Appreciate him hanging out with us here in studio for a bit. The Keith Byars Show every Monday from 11 a.m. to noon. He was in studio today. He's going to start popping in with us every Monday, recapping, of course, jumping into all the headlines coming out of that week's slate of NFL games. And there was a lot to talk about when it came to the Browns and the Bengals. Look, I'm the Bengals hater. I got to say that. But look, we went hard in the paint going after Zach Taylor and everybody. And like I said before, Zach Taylor, I'm not saying no blame should go his way. I'm not even against criticizing Zach Taylor. There were some questionable play calls down the stretch, but I mean, imagine having to be put in a position where you have to be 1,000,000,000% perfect. There, Andy Reid would not have been any different yesterday in that game. Like, I just don't get what I don't understand people's mindset with this. You could nitpick some of the play calling and some of the decision making of Zach Taylor, fine. But if you think that he's the problem, if you think that that's why they lost yesterday, come on. You're angry, you're frustrated, you're lashing out, but you're not making a whole lot of sense. That defense is horrible. It is horrendous. The fact that they are even in position to win these games speaks highly about the offensive execution throughout the game with a 40-plus-year-old quarterback. You know, you do it with Joe Burrow, you expect it because it's Joe Burrow, and he's paid handsomely to do it. But when you're doing this with a 40-year-old quarterback and we're going to nitpick Zach Taylor because he didn't call a timeout when you wanted, I mean, come on. That is just ridiculous. A 40-year-old quarterback who looked like he was done. He was not good with the Colts. He looked washed up with the Browns. And all of a sudden, he's put in the right situation and the right offense with the right weapons. And look what happens. Last thing on this before we get back to your calls. As I stated before, I see so many people quitting and giving up already. Guys, the Pittsburgh Steelers, okay? The Pittsburgh Steelers are 4-3. The Bengals have 3 wins. The Steelers have 4 wins. The Bengals have 3. You just beat the Steelers last week. You got the Steelers coming up again here in a few weeks. The Bengals are fine. You got the Bears coming up. I haven't even looked. Have they put out the lines for this week yet? Let's just take a look. Let me see. Let me jump into next week, week 10. Are we? Oh, week 9. I'm sorry. Chicago is in Cincinnati. The Bears, according to ESPN Bet, are a 2.5-point favorite, which is wild. I feel good about the Bengals' chances. I just watched the Ravens without Lamar Jackson just went down and kicked the living crap out of the Bears. I feel good about the Bengals' chances. The Bengals are going to be fine, guys. Like the Steelers, as far as they go, guess what? They got the Colts. They got the Colts next week. I see another loss for Pittsburgh. I see another opportunity for a win for Cincinnati. And guess what? When the Steelers drop to 4-4 and you're 4-5, you have the same amount of wins as the division. Like, nothing's changed. I guess that's why. Like, I get why you're frustrated. You're fed up. You're annoyed. You've lost patience. I get all that. But I've always been the peacemaker when it comes to Bengals fans, and I'm here to tell you it's fine. It's not ideal. You had an opportunity yesterday. I think we had a caller earlier in the show that just talked about this team's inability to be able to jump and capitalize on the situation. But at the end of the day, nothing's really changed. You were a game out of the division spot, a leading spot before yesterday, and you're still a game out of it today. I had a chance to jump on it, yes. But this kind of reminds me, I feel like this Bengals season is going to go very similarly to what happened with the Cincinnati Reds. How many times did the Reds come within a half a game all season? And they stubbed their toe and couldn't get it done. How many times did the Reds have an opportunity to not just capitalize, on that, but to win a big series or to have a series against a team that they should beat, right? Like the Bengals just had the Jets. The Reds would have a bad, a series with a bad team coming up, and we would circle and say, oh yeah, they're going to win that one. You shouldn't beat Pittsburgh, you beat Pittsburgh. You shouldn't beat the Yankees. You shouldn't beat the Rays. You shouldn't beat, the Tigers. There's certain teams the Reds shouldn't have beat, but they beat them. But they would lose to the Pirates. They would lose to the Marlins. It was annoying and frustrating. And I feel like that's what's happening with Cincinnati right now. You beat Pittsburgh, but you lose to the Jets. You're going to beat Chicago. Everything's going to be fine. Steelers are going to lose to the Colts, and we're going to forget about the social media temper tantrum that everybody threw on social media yesterday. Let's go to the phones. 937-518-1410. It's been a while, but Charlie, thanks for holding. You're on live, sir.
What's going on?
Another day in paradise. What you got for us today?
I went down to the game yesterday, took my family, and about 40 minutes before the game, going to use the bathroom, look at my phone. Nick Mangold passed away.
Yep.
And I just wanted to go just take my family, like, let's just go get in the car. Like, we're not going to win this game. Like, Nick Mangold is so important to the Jets.
Oh, my
I don't know how
gosh.
much. I don't know how, and I had Jets fans right in front of me, like New York guys, and we live in Centerville. Like it's a big deal, and these guys were crushed, and I don't know how it affected the team, but I mean they sure played like we are not losing this game. We cannot lose when the day that we found out Nick Mangold died. But I mean. I've been saying it all year about our defense. Now, the last 2 weeks, zero pass rush, nothing. But a bologna sandwich can only be so good. Okay?
You could fry it. You could put some jalapeno mustard on it. You could put some onion on it. You could spice it up a little bit. But after a while, it's still a bologna sandwich. I like where you're going with this.
Yeah. And it's just, we got some steak on offense. We got Jamar. And I don't know. But the fact that no one can rush the passer other than Trey Hendrickson, it's got to be coaching. Like, we have Miles Murphy and the new kid. I can't even think of his name because it's so awful.
Shamar.
I watched him over pursue Breece Hall in that touchdown run. It was
the angle that he took. Yeah, he looped around him, didn't even cut him off. He just it was like Olay defense.
Have you ever watched a big clumsy puppy dog, like just one of them big lanky dogs? They don't have no brakes. They can't move very good. They're all legs. They have no muscle yet. Just watching Shamar Stewart. I'm like, so you don't know how to do anything. You're just a giant human, and you don't know anything yet. I don't even. And are you teachable? Because so far I've seen nothing, and it's really sad because he is a freak of nature. But goodness, you can't even contain.
That's why they're so obsessed with the measurables. I mean, from a measurable standpoint, Shamar Stewart. I mean, if you did a blind measurable test, he would measure up to Myles Garrett. But I watched Myles Garrett with 5 sacks in one game yesterday, and Shamar Stewart doesn't even get 5 hurries. I mean, it's not even comparable. I don't get how you could have that physical makeup and still have zero impact on a game. That is something that's wild. But the Bengals are so measurable obsessed when we get to the combine and the draft. It's not a good, you need to consider it, yes, but that shouldn't be the number one driving force, and that's what they seem to do every single time.
Well, there were several years where they were getting guys like Jonah Williams that were below, their arms weren't the right size. They were smaller guys. And I think that they got over criticized. But I mean, they were out of position. When he was gone, I was so happy. When they got Mims, I knew Mims' history, but I'm like, look at him. If you whiff on Amarius Mims, at least he has the build. And he seems like he's coming into shape. And maybe that'll happen to Shamar Stewart. I don't know. But like I said, what does it matter if what linebackers plan? It doesn't matter who you got in there. It's awful. We have no pass rush. None. I feel like we might have had one pressure the whole game. It was awful. And you know what's so weird is the Jets weren't really trying to throw it in the beginning of the game. You can throw every play. We'll never give you pressure. You can throw every time. You can throw throw it to Breece Hall every time. You'll score 100 points. We got the Bears coming up. Caleb Williams probably have a 400-yard game this week. We just cannot pressure a quarterback.
Help me out with this one. How in the world, And obviously the Bears, that's who the Bengals have coming up next. But like, how in the world? And I know they were at Baltimore, but like Baltimore earlier in the week when they thought Lamar was going to play, I think it was like a 7.5 point favorite. And then when it was announced he wasn't going to play, Baltimore still remained a 2.5 point favorite. I don't. Not only were they I thought that was a crazy line, but then they whooped their ass. I don't get it. Like Chicago, are they not good? How do you get bullied by a Ravens team that is demolished on defense and offense injury wise? I have no clue what to make of the Bears. This should be a game that the Bengals win, but then again, shows to the Jets should have been a win as well. I don't know what to make of it. As we get closer to it, we'll talk about it more. But it's a wild thing on Sunday.
Can I make one more comment?
Do it.
Because I've been on a trade like I didn't think we should have signed T. Higgins to begin with.
Yep.
And I love T. Higgins. I think he's great. Yesterday, at the end of the game, now the last 2 drives, look, whatever, your defense can't stop anybody. And the third to last drive, we ran the ball right down the field and scored a touchdown. Last 2 drives you're trying to throw. I don't know why. But at the end of the game, T. Higgins only had 2 catches. The last drive, you threw to Andre Yosibach twice. Okay, Sauce Gardner didn't play. So I don't know how far down the depth chart we are to the person defending T. Higgins, the 4th or 5th best player on the defense of the Jets. That's who's guarding T. Higgins, and he can't get open? Or, I don't know what happened there, but I don't see the point in having him if the game's on the line, we can't get the ball to Jamar, and Yossi Bosch is your best option. Like, what is going on? Like, where's T? T should have won. If you're going to throw it, which they shouldn't have done that, just give it to Pirine because they couldn't stop him. But if you're going to throw it, where the heck is T? Is he getting covered by somebody off the bench?
Well,
why was he not open?
Well, you saw the target, difference, right? Like Jamar Chase was targeted 19 times yesterday. T. Higgins was targeted twice. I mean, T. Higgins was targeted twice.
Why have him, though, is what I'm saying. Just go ahead and trade him. It didn't work. 2 number ones, it doesn't work. We need to trade Trey Hendrickson and trade T. Higgins now.
Well, but T last week against the Steelers, though, had 10 targets with 6 catches, obviously, and that was in the same game that Jamar got the 23 targets. Look, I'm with you. I was adamant that, for one, it can work having those 2, and Joe Burrow knows how to work those 2. This is Joe Flacco right now, who is just falling in love with Jamar Chase, and it's working on offense, yes. But, we'll see. We're a couple games into that. I wouldn't go as far as that. The bottom line is T. Higgins, what he represents to me is $30 million that could have been put on defense. That could have got you 2 really good players on defense. That's who T. Higgins is to me. That was not a great game for him yesterday. I'm with you 100%. I'm not going to go as far as to say they need to trade him because of that. Charlie, they need to trade T. Higgins because that's $30 million a year that they could free up to go put some damn talent on that defense. At the end of the day, that's why at the beginning when I was a hater for all this, I'm like, that I don't trust that the Bengals are going to draft and develop well enough for them to be able to just count on rookies and 2nd and 3rd year players carrying the load like we see from the Bills and like we see from the Chiefs and some of the other Super Bowl contenders, the Eagles and all that. The Bengals just aren't good enough to do that. They're just not.
Well, and that stat, the one stat that killed me, somebody posted on Twitter, was like, in the first 57 years of the Bengals' existence, when they scored 38 points, they were like 54-4. The last 2 years, the 1-3. You gotta spend your money on the defense. You have to. That is. I don't even know. I don't even know what I watched. It was awful. It's like the Jets are the number 1 offense in the league. It's like, what am I watching?
That team, the Jets, the last 2 weeks, Charlie, the Jets lost 13-11 and 13-6. I mean, it was borderline Browns football. I mean, it was great defense, no offense, and they made the Jets look like the Bengals offense yesterday. I get why everyone's frustrated. Everyone should be frustrated. But at the end of the day, nothing was lost yesterday because there's still a game out of the division lead, which is just insane. It's crazy how bad the North is right now, but the Bengals should be able to capitalize if they're lucky. But they can't drop games like yesterday. That was brutal.
Well, but there's no answer in sight, though, on the defense. So nope. What do you do?
Nope. And Lamar's going to be back here soon. You got Josh Allen. I mean, it's going to get more difficult as the season progresses because that was against just 2 bad teams, but we'll see. But, hey, Charlie, I'm out of time, man. I appreciate you calling. Good hearing from you.
All right. See you, Justin. Take care, man.
Yep. Good stuff. 937-518-1410. As far as, look, that was Justin Fields, who I think the Jets had like negative 18 total passing yards the week before or 2 weeks before, whatever. I mean, the Jets offensively have just been putrid. Justin Fields was so bad that the owner, right or wrong, was coming out and basically just talking about how horrific of a quarterback that they have. And then he came out and had a great performance yesterday. The thing is, I don't expect the offense for the Jets to look like that moving forward. I do expect the defense for the Bengals to look like that moving forward. And here's the quarterbacks coming up. I want to believe that the Bengals are good enough to get this done because I really liked what I saw from them on that Thursday night game against Cincinnati. I thought, but like that defense was so bad yesterday at home. It's really hard to overcome that. I mean, Joe Burrow couldn't overcome it last year. And Joe Flacco, he's 40-plus years old, and to his credit, he's doing everything that he can. This is a team that put up 38 points yesterday, and they couldn't win. But, guys, here's the quarterbacks coming up for the defense, okay? Here's what the Bengals are facing coming up. Caleb Williams. You could say, okay, I'm not that afraid of Caleb Williams. Well, I wasn't afraid of Justin Fields either, and we saw what happened. You got Aaron Rodgers again. Drake May, who honestly might be the real deal. Drake May diced up a top 5 defense yesterday. Drake May, pretty damn good. Mike Vrabel, I love Mike Vrabel. I'm still so jealous that the Browns let him just, go. I mean, he defines a franchise. He totally changes the morale of a franchise. The Titans haven't been the same since he's left. The Browns, he would have been the perfect Browns head coach, but that's besides the point. I love Vrabel. I like the Patriots. I like what I saw from them yesterday. Good for them. They have dudes on defense. They have a hell of a head coach that you want to run through a brick freaking wall for. And Drake May might be the real damn deal. So you got Caleb Williams, Aaron Rodgers, Drake May, Lamar Jackson, Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson. That's the next 6 weeks with a bye week coming up after next week against the Bears. I want to believe that the Bengals can get it done. But, man, that was rough. That was bad yesterday. I get people's frustration, but the main goal for the show today for me was to remind everybody, stop blaming Kevin Stefanski, or stop blaming Zach. You could blame Kevin Stefanski. I'm over Kevin Stefanski. Stop blaming Zach Taylor. I've had a complete flip on this from about a month ago. I'm out on Kevin Stefanski, and I'm not all in on Zach Taylor. I'm just not out on Zach Taylor. He's not the problem. Sometimes when a team is bad, sometimes it's not coaching. It's just personnel. It's just bad players. It's not Zach Taylor, guys. It's not. His side of the ball, I know he's the head coach. All sides of the ball are his. But when you go get an inexperienced offensive mind to be your head coach, you're just praying that they're going to bring some kind of offensive expertise to the table that's going to make your offense stand out. And guess what? Zach Taylor's doing that. Zach Taylor's fine. He's not perfect. But my gosh, I don't know how you could watch what that defense did the last couple of weeks or really the last 2 years and actually think that Zach Taylor's the problem. He's not. And anyone out there that thinks, well, the way his decision making on when he runs the football and when he passes the football and the timeout, guys, stop. Andy Reid's not winning with this defense. Andy Reid's not. Mike Vrabel's not winning with this defense. There's not Mike Tomlin. If you give Mike Tomlin this defense, his streak of finishing above 500, that's not happening either. Like, this defense is the problem, not Zach Taylor. 937-518-1410. I see we got Shaw. No, we don't have Shaw. Sorry, Shaw. Call back. We'll try to get you back on the line. We'll be right back. It's the Justin Kinner Show presented by Frickers. Frickers, your home for fun, food, sports, and spirits. We'll be right back.
The Justin Kinner Show. Right here on 1410 ESPN Radio.